were supposed to be planning a birthday party for Zane, not a funeral. They walked into that birthday party having a fun time. They were sitting at that table eating. And this woman crashed her car through this building, destroying all of our lives.
At an arraignment, the client has not been found guilty. We don't have prejudgment. My client has no record whatsoever. In fact, she has never even received a traffic ticket of the 50 years of driving.
The defendant is charged with count 1, homicide, 2nd degree.
The defendant is facing 2 life sentences. We have ample video evidence showing exactly what happened during this incident.
This is not a monster. It's horrible what happened. She had 1 glass of wine 4 hours prior.
She is a danger to this community, and that is illustrated no clearer than the 2 dead children that she is directly responsible for.
Your Honor, the $1.5 million in the murder charge, I don't know where that's coming from, but they have to prove it.
An emotion-filled day inside a southeastern Michigan courtroom. The woman accused of crashing her car into the Swan Boat Club in Monroe County over the weekend, killing 2 children and hurting several others, facing a judge today. And tonight, we are learning that the birthday party during which this happened was for a 3-year-old child. A brother and sister, 4-year-old Zane Phillips and 8-year-old Alana Phillips, were both killed. The other victims between the ages of 11 and 70. That list includes the children's mother and 11-year-old brother, who were also seriously injured. According to the family's lawyer, Mariah Dobbs suffered 6 broken ribs, a collapsed lung, and severe cuts and bruises. Her 11-year-old survived, but remains in critical care after undergoing 7 hours of excruciating surgery, as they put it. He has 2 broken legs, broken ribs, and a fractured skull. His father remains by his side, and his attorney says that he is devastated.
The woman police say was behind the wheel was 66-year-old Marshella Chidester. She's locked up in Monroe County Jail right now. This is the first look at her mugshot as her court case officially started with formal charges during an arraignment this morning. Her charges include 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of operating while intoxicated causing death, 4 counts of operating while intoxicated causing serious injury. She sat next to her attorney in a packed courtroom today, including members of the victims' families. The judge set her bond at $1.5 million. If she's released, she will be monitored by GPS and prohibited from drinking alcohol. The defense originally argued she's never had as much as a traffic ticket in her life and should be considered innocent until proven guilty. Her lawyer pushed for a $100,000 bond and a home confinement instead.
Michael Sandlin spent the day inside the courtroom in Monroe County. Joins us now live. Michael, this was not your typical arraignment, was it?
No, it was far from it, Jeff. Now, arraignments normally last about a few minutes, but this morning's arraignment lasted a full half-hour, complete with debate between the prosecution and the defense and emotional testimony from members of the victim's family. Marshella Chidester, seen Tuesday morning in chains, made her first public appearance since her arrest, and her arraignment led to high emotions on both sides of the case, with both the prosecution and defense going head-to-head over the matter of her bond.
People are requesting a $1.5 million bond at this point, along with conditions.
We're asking for home confinement along with $100,000 10% cash or surety.
The disparity between the 2 requests comes from the 2 different sides' interpretation of the case. Monroe County Prosecutor Jeffrey Yorkey says they have ample evidence to show Saturday's crash was a matter of intoxicated driving.
The defendant suffers from a very severe substance abuse issue, corroborated by friends and family members, and she creates a very high risk to the public.
But Chidester's defense attorney, Bill Kolovos, says she's a 66-year-old woman with no previous record. The local bar she was seen in the day of the crash claims she only had 1 drink, and this was all an accident stemming from a medical condition.
An epileptic type seizure in her legs. In fact, that day she was treated for it. It's absolutely horrible. But some things we don't have control over.
But as Chidester's defense attorney continued to argue in her favor, unusual behavior started to break out in the courtroom.
If me, Bill Clovis, has a heart attack on the freeway and I hit somebody changing a tire, I can't be liable in today's society.
Yeah, but your ass wasn't drunk.
Members of the victim's family, present over Zoom, started chiming in. And as the chorus of angry voices continued to get louder, the judge soon threatened to end the call if they were not silent. Finally, Chidester's bond was set at $1.5 million, putting to rest a painful first day of court. Chidester's next court appearance is scheduled for April 30th. Reporting in Monroe, I'm Michael Sandlin for WTOL 11.
This is a story that is making headlines across the country.
We want to make sure you're up to speed on everything there is to know about the investigation. Our team coverage continues tonight with Melissa Andrews and Brian Duggar. We start with Melissa, who has more on what the victims' family members had to say. Mel.
Well, to say the family of these children is devastated would be understating their grief. Raquel Smothers is the children's aunt and sister of their mother, Mariah. She sobbed and shook uncontrollably as she tried to describe the children, who they were, what happened, and the impact of Chidester's actions on Saturday. She said that the family should have been planning a birthday party for Zane, who would be turning 5 next month. Instead, they are planning his and his sister Alana's funerals. She talked about a day that turned from pure joy to utter devastation, a devastation that will never leave her memory.
They walked into that birthday party having a fun time. They were sitting at that table eating, and this woman crashed her car through this building, destroying all of our lives. Not just my family, everyone else that was in that building. My nephew and my sister are still fighting for their lives today. I had to be the one to tell my sister her babies were gone when they removed her ventilator yesterday. She said, "How am I supposed to live without my babies?"
Smothers also said that Chidester never should have been behind the wheel with or without a medical history, that no one should be drinking while on medication, let alone driving. And the results of those actions, she can never get out of her mind, seeing her niece and nephew under Chidester's car, an image she now sees every night when she tries to go to sleep. Kaylee?
Well, the family of the 2 children killed have filed a civil lawsuit against Marshella Chidester in a bar she was allegedly drinking at earlier in the day. According to the family's lawyer, the lawsuit was filed by Mariah Dodds and her son John, who are both still in the hospital. John Marco is representing the family. He says this is every family's worst nightmare.
They thought a bomb went off at first when this car came crashing through this child's birthday party. And the mother woke up in the hospital and she was severely injured and catastrophically injured. And the first thing she wanted to know is, how are my children doing?
Marco would not say how much the family is hoping to get from the lawsuit. He is planning to provide more details of the case during a news conference tomorrow morning.
My client has a history of having seizures. And this history has lasted since last November. It started of an epileptic type seizure in her legs. In fact, that's that day she was treated for it.
Well, it appears the defense is going to focus on Chidester's history of seizures, as you heard right there. But what does Michigan law indicate about driving with epilepsy? Lead investigator Brian Duggar joins us in the newsroom to discuss that side of it. Brian?
Yeah, Michigan law actually does address driving with epilepsy. In fact, it has pretty clear guidelines. So if you look at the Michigan Administrative Code, a person with epilepsy must prove that he or she had the condition under control for 6 months or has not had a seizure for at least 6 months. But that period can be reduced if a doctor agrees to reduce it. And the 6 months is important because Chidester's defense attorney said she's been having seizures since November, which was 5 months ago. but her attorney seemed to indicate in court that she'd been cleared to drive.
No doctor told her not to drive. The doctor told her not to drive for a number of months, very few months, and then she could operate a vehicle.
So here's another key point. Michigan law says that a doctor cannot be held civilly or criminally liable based on their recommendation. And one other note, we have not yet been able to confirm that Chidester even has an active driver's license, but we do know that she has no traffic tickets on her record. Reporting in studio, this is Brian Duggar for WTOL 11.
Make sure you have the WTOL 11 News app downloaded to your smartphone. Once we learn new information about this story, we'll make sure to send out an alert as soon as we possibly can.